We've been working with Scholes really since the formation of our first company, which was back in 2006. So yeah, we're approaching 20 years together. I mean, we knew Karen, Orkney being Orkney, our families had connections going back over the years, but I had also been, before my wife Karen and I started our own business, I was working with a number of other local firms and organisations, and for at least a couple of those, Scholes had been our appointed auditors. I'd always felt that they did a really good job for me when I was in those roles, and it seemed just a fairly natural thing to go back to Scholes to help us in the first instance set up our new business, but also then to set up the company, if you like, the infrastructure, but also to go through the business planning process and help us with the acquisitions for the first hotel. So yeah, it was it kind of moved over, a relationship that moved over from other organisations that I'd been working with, and it just felt that it would work for us. I was certainly aware that they were working with others in the trade when we were looking to come into hospitality. So I think our conversations with them really started when we were looking at the viability of a couple of different options, a couple of different target hotels that we were looking at. We started to speak to them just to get a feel for the market and to get a feel for really to get a handle on any information that they were able to provide about how things were performing and what the outlook for the trade and hospitality business in Orkney was at that time. They'd obviously had client links going back for a number of years before we started, had been around the trade for a long time. So yeah, I think they're pretty skilled, pretty experienced in the hospitality trade. They've got a number of clients who I would have to say don't necessarily replicate business models, but they've got a number of clients across what is now a very diverse hospitality industry in Orkney. And I think that's important, that they're able to bring an understanding of what's happening in different areas, whether it be the touring, whether it be the bars and restaurant, whether it be in the hotel and accommodation side. It's a pretty broad field, and they're able to straddle that quite well. So specifically, we use Scholes for our end of year tax planning. So that's something that's quite important to us. There's a cycle there that we go through. They're also involved at the moment, haven't been throughout our business, different times we've handled it in different ways, but they're involved in the preparation of our management accounts at the moment. We actually contract out our management accounting to them. So they've got a good handle on where we are at any point in the year. But as we come towards the year end, then we engage with them on end of year planning specifically. We look at things like capital allowances, we look at things like pension contributions, we look at things like investment opportunities, and that's something that we do very much hand in hand with them each year. Absolutely. It's not something that we have taken to Scholes as a problem, but they've helped us with the solution in that one of the things we've done is invest in staff accommodation. So we are now able to offer, it's a particularly seasonal business here in Orkney, so we're now able to offer live-in arrangements for a fairly large number of staff. We have 10 or 11 full live-in staff for this season, And certainly when we were looking at the accommodation implications of that, the property requirements for that, then that was something we were able to discuss with Scholes before completing those investments. Obviously that's meant adding arguably less productive assets to the portfolio. So we're not letting out the rooms, we're not letting out the beds to the same degree that we would on the hotels or on the self-catering accommodation that we have. But it was something that we were happy to be able to discuss with Scholes before completing on. They're very efficient, very friendly, very open to engagement. Different people in the team specialise in different areas, which I think is a really good thing. We've been working with them for such a long time now that we tend to know who it is that we need to speak to about what, whether that's on payroll issues. Scholes provide all our payroll services and have a dedicated payroll team. So whether it's talking to the payroll team, whether it's on management accounting and the team there, or whether it's on tax planning, or whether it's indeed time with Karen herself, where we'll do an annual review and we'll set out maybe knock around some ideas for the plans for the year ahead, look at what's going well, things that we maybe need to move away from, other things that we need to get into more heavily. So yeah, there's a broad range of contacts in the team, and very, very accessible, very helpful and supportive, and yeah, a nice positive relationship, and one that we really wouldn't be without in the business. We would absolutely recommend Scholes, and I do regularly. Anybody that's starting out, any younger folk that come to us now, we've been in the trade for a wee while. We sometimes get people coming to us asking us about what we might think on a particular business idea or prospects, and one of the first things we always say is you should go and speak to Scholes.